Okay, welcome to episode number 9. This is take 2, by the way, because I screwed up on the first take.
Is it on? Do we know? Is it on?
we think it's working.
Okay.
So, thankfully, my guest today has experienced this herself, and this is the wonderful, talented, and beautiful Amy Larson from KRON Channel 4 TV in San Francisco.
Yes.
She is the who's who in Santa Cruz guest.
All right. Well, thank you for having me again.
So if it doesn't work again, just shoot me.
So
Where were we?
where were we? Okay.
This is take 2. Well, I was fascinated by. Okay, tell us a little about you've been a news reporter for 17 years.
Yes. So
How did you get the first was it KSBW first?
yeah. Well, I kind of fell into journalism by accident. It was my first job offer when I graduated from college. Was with the Register Pajaronian newspaper in Watsonville.
Oh, back then it was pretty thick and was flourishing.
Yes,
right?
it was a daily newspaper
Yeah.
back then. And then I ended up getting my master's degree in journalism at Columbia University. I worked for Newsday out in New York for 3 years. And then I missed home. You know, I'm born and raised Santa Cruz. This is home for me.
You were born here?
Mhm.
Okay.
So I drove across the country and a job opening came at KSBW. So I worked for KSBW Action News 8
Did
for
you-
7 years.
As a reporter outside, or were you one of the?
I was inside the newsroom. I was the digital media manager. I was like a one-woman web team.
Yeah.
So everything you saw on TV, it was my job to get that up on the web. And I also did my own stories, my own reporting as well.
Right.
And now I'm with KRON 4 News. And I've kind of transitioned. My first 2 years there, I was doing a lot of live shots for the 24-hour live stream.
Yeah.
And now I mostly focus on writing. I write about 5 news stories a day.
You write 5 stories a day?
Yes.
So I have an article I'm supposed to write for this one article, which I have to write for this one magazine. It's one article, and I keep procrastinating. I've been procrastinating for a month and a half now.
Yeah, no, and the funny thing is I've never considered myself to be a writer, even
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
I think of myself as a reporter. I love telling people's stories. I love meeting people. I love learning new things. And when I'm writing, I feel like I'm almost talking onto the page because
Well,
I'm by no means a good writer.
One thing about being in the media, you get to talk to people you would not normally get to talk to,
Yes, it's one of the best parts of the job.
right? Like, hey, I'll talk to you.
From all walks of
If
life.
you were Tom, Dick, or Harry, no one's going to talk to you,
Right.
right?
So yeah, I have interviewed, convicted murderers. I've interviewed mayors. I've interviewed prosecutors. I've interviewed
Everybody.
unhoused people. And during COVID, I interviewed a ton of doctors, and so you name it, and
Yeah.
I've pretty much done it.
Yeah.
So
Homelessness, we just touched on that. People without homes is a big topic in this. There is no solution, though. People use that word solution. I just don't see
Yeah.
there being one.
I see it as, when I kind of take a step back and look at where the biggest challenges that our community, our country is facing, I would say housing
Yes.
and mental health.
Right.
Those 2 things seem to be the biggest challenges that we just haven't made enough progress
Right.
on.
Your favorite story so far, since your 17 years, is?
So I'll talk about one recently I got to do. It was the mystery of the mastodon tooth. And so I felt that one was fun because I felt like I got to do something good
You were
for
part
the
of that
community.
story. Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah. So someone tagged me on Facebook and told a local paleontologist to contact me because he was trying to find this tooth from the ice ages. It came from a mastodon. And someone on the beach had unknowingly picked it up and taken it home with them. And the paleontologist had photographs that someone else had taken,
Yeah.
so he knew how important this tooth was.
Right.
And so I interviewed him, and at the very beginning of the interview, I told him, I was like, look, this is what the news does best, is finding things.
Yeah.
Because he didn't think we were going to find it.
Right.
So I wrote the story, and then just like a day later, maybe 24 hours later, the Santa Cruz Museum called me and said, the beach runner who picked up the tooth saw your story, called us, and he's going to come hand in the tooth. And I just felt like it just felt great to be able to do something for science, history, the community. It was
Yeah.
just a nice moment, because I do end up reporting on a lot of crime stories, and it can really start to wear on you.
Which ones bring you the most stress at home? Which ones do you take home with you?
Yeah. So the ones that weigh most heavily on me
Yeah.
is definitely when the victims are children and
Right.
are just like the definition of innocence.
Right, because you have your own child.
Absolutely.
today.
Absolutely.
Right, right. Yeah,
Yeah.
those are that's good. You see those things on TV, I can't even watch if
Right.
they involve the kids. you know.
Yeah, I mean, the two cases, I would say the number one case here locally that everyone knows is Maddie Middleton.
Yes.
And the person who killed her was a juvenile at the time of the crime.
Yeah.
So he will be released from custody soon.
That's right. Yeah.
We don't know exactly when, but soon. And I felt like that was a case where it's a little questionable whether or not justice was truly served in the case of 8-year-old Maddie Middleton. The other one more around the Bay Area, I would say, is Sierra Lamar.
Yeah.
I feel like Sierra Lamar stood out to parents. She was the girl who was walking to her bus stop to go to school, and she vanished. And to this day, her body has never been found.
Right.
And I feel like that one really resonated because it's just every parent's worst nightmare is you send
Yeah.
your kid off to school and
You never see 'em
they
again.
vanish
Right.
without a trace.
Okay. It's unfathomable to think that.
Yes. So her killer was convicted at trial, and he's now in prison. I've actually exchanged a few prison letters with him, which I covered, but he still hasn't said where the body is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
her family hasn't really achieved full closure
Closure
from
on it,
that
yeah.
tragedy.
Yeah. Where do you see yourself going with your news reporting? Bigger and better things like CNN or Fox, or do you want to? Or for those, maybe you have to leave here, which I don't think you
Right.
want to leave since you serve. So you have to weigh up all the options. But what do you see yourself?
I can't leave those waves. They're too much fun.
Right?
No, I'm always trying to balance. I really believe it's so important to balance your life. You know, earlier in my career, I was just very much consumed and fully dedicated to my job 24/7. And now I do a much better job of balancing, you know, health, family, friends,
Right.
and the news.
Yeah.
And
When you get older, you get more. The
Yeah.
older you get, the more you figure out.
yeah, exactly.
Right? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Quality of life is very important.
Quality of life, absolutely.
It's very important. So, but you obviously enjoy what you do.
I truly enjoy
Yeah,
what
you
I
got the
do.
voice for radio.
Thank
got
you.
You got the face for TV. You
Thank
got the
you.
whole thing. See our hair and makeup department came by today and did the whole thing.
It was very nice of you to hire a professional for me.
Well, I hope are you going to surf this afternoon? When do you normally surf? When do you get time?
I usually use my vacation days to
Right.
surf.
I mean, my friend who lives up the street, I'm going to mention his name, is the guy Kawasaki. You know, it works based upon the tide. You know, so
Yeah, you definitely got to plan around the tide. And my newest thing with surfing now is I love to bring my son with me, and
Yeah.
I think he's attempting to make a cameo right now. Logan, you can come up here and stand up so that the
Yeah,
camera
you
can
gotta
see
stand the camera
you.
would see you.
So
Let's say hi.
Logan is my new surf buddy.
Yeah.
I've already taken him surfing in Hawaii.
You like it? Yeah.
He
Surfing-
loved it.
There's nothing like surfing with your kid. I've
Yeah.
been surfing my kid since he was 5, and he's now over 30. So we surf most weekends. It's fabulous.
I think that's great. And you told me your son is now better than you
Oh,
at
he's way better than
surfing.
me. Yeah, he's like Barishnikov on a surfboard. But
I
thank
think
you.
That's great. Well, thank
Shake
you
my
for
hand, young man.
thank you for having us.
Okay.
It was a pleasure to talk
You're welcome.
to you.
Let's see. Hope it works.
Yes, we'll see.
It'll be
we'll
his
see.
episode. You know what? I'll shoot myself. This has been episode number 9 here with the beautiful and wonderful Amy Larson of KRON Channel 4 in San Francisco. How do you close your thing? How do you say? What's the closing thing?
I would say reporting in Santa Cruz, I'm Amy Larson, KRON 4 News.
Bingo.